everyone. Come on in because we are back, y'all. We are back for part two of my Love is Blind reunion discussion. And we done got to the juicy parts. The juicy parts. Baby. This reunion was juicy. It really was very juicy and it had a lot of surprises for me. Stuff I did not expect. I didn't see a whole lot of spoilers, prior to watching it. So a lot of this stuff was new to me, but I tell you, it was good with a T on the end. Let me tell you something. Where do I want to start first? Let's start first with, do we want to start with Bri? No, because I'm going to be talking about her I got so much to say about her. Let me start with the things I can knock out real quick. Jess and Chris. I ain't got too much more to say about Chris. I mean, I think Chris did what he needed to do in this reunion. He's a villain. He's an asshole. Nobody likes him. So he had to keep his answer short. So in terms of how do you get out of this moment, I'm going to say actually that he did the best thing possible. He apologized to Connor. He apologized to Bri. Do we believe him? No. We know who he is. We know exactly who he is. So ain't nobody saying we like him. But I will say that he did what he needed to do in this reunion the best he could, because there really was no good outcome for Chris whatsoever, honestly. He took accountability. He said he was emotionally immature. I'm happy for Jess. Okay, I'm happy that she and the Harmall guy, I'm glad they're together, doctor and doctor. I believe everything she said, that little man Chris was intimidated by Jess's life. I think so. I think what she said financially, I think there was some intimidation factor. He can't admit it, but I believe it. I believe it completely. Let me move on real quickly to the next, Emma and Mike. Y'all, I told y'all before that I wasn't a big fan of Emma. I know everybody was giving her the sympathy vote because all of the things she went through, being adopted, as she says, by a white family, having 10 surgeries before she was 7 years old, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. But when Mike dropped on us that they had a discussion a couple of days before, they both had decided that they were not going to get married. They were going to say no at the altar. And then Emma gets up there and says yes. I would feel blindsided too, Mike. I really would. I would feel blindsided. And then for Emma to turn it around and say, well, you can read between the lines. I know we said we was going to say no at the altar, but when I got to the altar and I said yes, you didn't know that meant that, yes, I want to have kids too. Emma, girl, go sit down. Go sit down. This is now making me question everything you said, because if this is the way that you speak, we got to decipher all this. Now I'm going to look back on everything else you said all season long. You see what I'm saying? I already knew Emma was lying, that the reason why she didn't want to have children was because she was afraid. She didn't know if the disease she had would get passed on to her child. I'm not saying that that's not a fear, but I already knew that wasn't the biggest thing. You can use medical technology for that. I already knew that Emma has issues around being a Chinese girl adopted by a white family. She's got identity issues. She's got self-esteem issues. She's got a lot more issues. She's probably not sure on if maybe how she will bond with her child. She hasn't seen it. She hasn't done it. There's a lot of fears around that, justifiably so. But what I noticed about Emma, she ain't ready to call a thing a thing. She's not ready to call a thing a thing. She calls a thing something else. Just like she sat up here and said, well, even though I said no to you 2 days ago, Mike, when I said yes, it meant I also wanted to have a kid. Girl, a thing ain't a thing. A thing ain't a thing. Mike says, I moved on. I don't care. I'm now with another wonderful, beautiful lady. And I think she's going to be mother approved because she looked like she was Italian. Mike knows he better bring home an Italian woman, because that mama of Mike's was fit to be tied when he brought home Emma. She said, what? Say what now? We're not accepting nothing but an Italian in this family. That mama was crystal clear. The only time that mama really laid up off of Emma was when she found out that she was adopted, because then she's like, oh, at least you ain't gonna be trying to push your Chinese roots on us. When she found out Emma was adopted by a white family, that mama was a little bit more relieved. Okay, great. And when Emma said, I really don't have no ties to my Chinese roots, you know, that was the mother like, good, because you ain't bringing no Chinese roots over here to an Italian family. We barely want to accept, you know, the white American culture. But looks like Mike went out and did what a good Italian boy does, and he went out and found him an Italian woman. And I'm sure they're at home having a good time doing all that cooking that mama talked about, because she was backhanded talking about Emma when Emma didn't know the terminology of Italian cooking. So there we go. We got rid of that real quickly, right? We knocked that out. But now we got to get to the dirty part. The snakes in the grass, the snakes in the ground. Woo! What's the old saying? When someone shows you who they are, believe it. Believe it. And what we're going to talk about are 3 snakes. The 3 snakes are going to be Ashley, Bri, and now we found out this girl, Priya. Now, here's the thing about Priya. I knew she was a snake before then, but I really didn't have nothing to say about it because she wasn't like no real character on the show. But let me tell you when I knew Bri was a snake. Bri was a snake when they were at that mixer. And we find out that Bri already knew Alex, right? And that Bri knew the woman that Alex was dating or had dated. See, all that was a little bit too close to proximity to me. Then Bri with a P, talked about how she and Alex would talk and be in communication. And I was like, something about this story you're telling, Bri, don't make you seem pure and clean like Christine. Christine is pure and clean. Bri, you was dirty, girl. You was dirty. I didn't really spend my time digging through the mud with Bri, but I'm going to tell you in that moment then is when I knew there was something wrong. And then what she was doing was, although she was friends with Alex, when she got on the show, all of a sudden, she was hemming Alex up with Ashley. I don't know if y'all remember the scene. That's when I first knew that Bri was not to be trusted, and that Bri doesn't show up in situations the way she should. I didn't like the way that she showed up in that situation with Ashley and Alex back then, so I checked her off. The second time, I knew they were all of them were out of line, out of order, was when they sat there and listened to Chris talked about Jess, and it came up. And who was sitting over there in the audience saying, I don't have no accountability for Jess. I didn't really know her, all this other kind of stuff. It was Bri. And who did we see sitting over there talking about Jess, listening to all that bull crap going in? It was Bri, it was Bri, and it was Ashley. Now, let me tell you what all these 3 women have in common. I did a video on it. Bri with a P wasn't in it because, like I said, she wasn't a real main character on the show. But I was specifically talking about Bri, and I was also talking about Ashley, and that is they think they all that. Okay? They think that they're all that, and they're average. Really, if you look at what Ashley's biggest problem is with Alex, is that he didn't find her attractive. She is so insulted by the fact that Alex did not find her attractive. That's what she's really insulted about. And the truth be told, this little trip to Arizona that we're going to talk about, go behind Brittany's back, girl, that's some get back, because her man thinks you finer than her. That's why she didn't have no consideration for you, because Ashley is competitive. Ashley's an asshole, just like her daddy. When her daddy was sitting up there grilling Alex, as much as everyone may not like Alex, that he may not be Alex, he may not be honest. Let me tell you something. I appreciate a person who stands on business, and Alex stood on business the whole show. He stood on business the whole episode, okay? And where their real beef was because he did not want to sex up Ashley. He didn't think she was attractive. The minute he said he liked Brittany even more, Ashley was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Arizona and your man going to be there. These are some snakes in the grass. And it's really built on all of their sort of egos. And, I said back then that Alex held his own with her daddy. Her daddy really came hard at Alex. I'm not a fan of Alex's, but what I like about Alex, to be honest with you now, that he brought the energy we needed him to bring for a snake like Ashley. I forgive you. I forgive you, Alex. I do. I forgive you because now we really, really know what you was dealing with. When you're dealing with an Ashley, you can't come in nice. You can't come in sweet. You can't come in, giving them a little bit too much room to wiggle because you know what they're trying to do. Like I said, her daddy said, you think I'm tough. All the stuff I'm asking you, all the questions I'm firing off, you think it's just me. She just like me. That's what he told Alex. And we are finding out that she a lot like her daddy because her daddy was fueled by ego. Her daddy wanted to be seen on TV. Her daddy wanted to appear to be the smart one. Her daddy was trying to take over the whole scene, conversation, right? And here we have Ashley running off vindictiveness, trying to get back at Brittany. Snakes in the grass, snakes in the grass. Bri and Ashley. And, for a minute, we already knew Bri was a snake. We knew it from the whole season she was a snake. But I had a little bit of hope for her at first because when she came on the show, she started real nice. She started talking about how, she was wrong in the way that she spoke to Connor, right? Even though I know the reason why she was apologizing or taking that position is because now she realizes how many women are standing in line to take her man. Where are all the professional side chicks? Can I hire a professional side chick to go steal Connor away from Bri? Because he don't need to be with her. Like I said, Connor, believe it the first time you see her. Connor done told us that he has moved from his house. Didn't he own that house? What's he doing? Renting it out? Is he making an Airbnb? So Devonte, Devo. How the hell we get that name for Devonte? Devo. No, call him Devonte. That's his name, a black name. Don't be calling him Devo. Nah. Call him Devonte so everybody knows he's black. I know he's trying to run from it, but no, we're going to call you Devonte. We're not calling you Devo. We are not going to whitewash you, Devonte. We're going to call you Devonte. And we find out that Connor has given up his whole house and moved to be next to Bri. And she said, you can move next to me, but you can't move in. You got to get your own place. Because I'm still need to be slithering on the ground like a snake. That's what I'm going to need to do. Let me tell you, when the news was dropped, Bri told so many lies, y'all. She is such a liar. When the news was dropped that it was Bri who actually was having the pre-dinner with Devonte. He said, the only reason I found out all these girls was going to Arizona for this concert is because I was having dinner with Bri. You think Connor knew that Bri and Devonte were having dinner? No. See, they had dinner prior to going to Arizona. You think Connor knew? No. Another lie from Bri, right? And then she lied to him and said, well, it's a girl's trip. No, it wasn't. You the one that knew it wasn't a girl's trip because Devonte already told you he was going to come. He was going to show up. So why are you over here lying to Connor? Lies on top of Connor, you look silly. You look silly, Connor. You really, really do. And I keep wondering and asking myself, Connor, why are you still here? And, one thing I can say about Connor is that he lacks, I don't want to say it's self-esteem. I know that's just going to be what everybody says. He lacks self-esteem. He lacks self-worth. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that because I'm not for sure it's completely lacking self-worth or lacking self-esteem. What I'm going to say is I think that he doesn't see himself as a risk taker. He doesn't see himself as courageous. He doesn't, okay? And nothing's wrong with that. And what he sees in Bri, he admires. You ever meet a person who's really the opposite of you? and you admire it in them. You admire their grit. You admire their courage, because Bri is courageous in the lies she tells. She's courageous in the things she does. Is she on the right side or right? No, she on the wrong side. She on the wrong side, but she does it with such bravado. She does it with her chest. And I think there's a part of Connor that admires that. He's mistaking that for some quality you should admire, and it isn't something you should admire, Connor. I mean, this show is only an hour, and Bri got caught in so many lies. And Connor, you've given up your whole house. I know Connor works from home, so he can live anywhere. So now he living next to Bri to keep an eye on her. But it's hard to keep an eye on a person when all they do is lie and tell lies. You see what I'm saying? And for all of them to go on this trip, and this girls trip, and to also be entertaining and running around and frolicking with Devonte, and for none of them to think, hey, maybe we should check in with Brittany to see if they're really together. Because here's the thing. Whether Brittany is with Devonte or not with Devonte, I kind of have a problem with it. I do. I really do have a problem with it. I almost feel like it's too soon, right? And I almost feel like, Bri sitting over there talking about, well, I didn't know I had to ask for permission. You know what, Bri? Of course you don't think you need to ask for permission, because you didn't even ask permission from your own man, right? You over here talking about, I didn't think I had to ask for permission for Brittany to hang out with her. He ain't really her man, but whatever you want to call it. But I'm saying you don't think you need to ask permission from anyone, not even your man. But you have the wherewithal to tell a lie. So if you thought it was okay, why didn't you tell the truth? Now you run around here talking about you gonna marry Connor. Not if I have anything to do with it, because I'm about to pay a professional side chick to come over there and rock Connor's world, okay? And make him dump you. We over here talking about what side chicks doing. Now, this is a relationship I'm going to endorse. Okay? Where are all the side chicks in Ohio? Okay? We need to find out where these two are, and y'all need to go over there and do your thing. Do something good for once. Instead of breaking up happy homes or homes, where people are still trying to work it out. It may not be all the way happy, but they trying to work it out. Instead of breaking up those homes, go on over there and knock on the door of Connor and rock his world, and come back and let me know how it works out. So now you got Bri betraying not only Connor, Bri has also betrayed Jess, and now we find out Bri has betrayed Brittany too. And she run around talking about the reason I didn't say yes to Connor at the wedding day is because I knew in this moment I wasn't showing up the best version of myself. Girl, you showing up who you are. You see, I kept saying that Bri don't know who she is. First of all, she thinks she's more beautiful than she is. Like I said before, I'm getting tired of people calling women beautiful just because they got blonde hair. Bri is average. Okay? Maybe it's because I live in California and LA and I see women like Bri are better all day long. Maybe in Ohio, Columbus, she is the best thing since sliced bread. But she better not leave that town, because she go anywhere else, she gonna be average. She might be below average. And let me tell you something. She said, the reason I said no is because I didn't show up as my best version. Girl, you ain't showing up now as your best version, but yet you talking about you gonna be married to him and y'all gonna have babies. Paging all side chicks. Paging all side chicks. We really need to see these two break up. And Connor, you need to move on back to your house, because let me tell you, there are a lot of women who've watched you on this show, and even though they may not be attracted to the fact that you letting Bri run all over you like this, they still will shoot their shot. They will. And so that's the only reason Bri right now is trying to hold on, because all of a sudden she probably realizes, dang, there's a lot of women after my man. Now I'm ready to compete. One thing we know about Bri, we figured out, Bri like a bad boy. That's what she likes. She don't like the good guys. She likes the bad boys. That's why she was sitting there when Chris was saying all that stuff, that foul stuff, that bad boy stuff. She was soaking it up, licking her fingers, listening to it, Same reason why she's over here having dinner with Devonte, another bad boy. Come to find out, he already done got with another girl, got her pregnant, but he said he ain't gonna marry her yet. She my fiance. Boy, you ain't gonna marry her. If you was gonna marry her, then you guys would already be married darn near. Talking about we engaged, but she don't even live in the same state. I don't believe nothing Devonte says. Devonte Leroy. What's his middle name? I bet his name is Devonte Leroy. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Devonte Leroy. Come to find out, he and Alex live together in Arizona. That's a good state for him. Arizona is a good state for Devonte because let me tell you, if y'all know what I'm talking about when I say Arizona is a good state for Devonte, then y'all know what I'm saying. Okay? But Brittany, girl, as much as I don't like no Devonte, you weren't here talking about you was gaslit. Girl, you was not gaslit. You know what I'm saying? There was no gas in the room, Brittany. You was just blind, period. Period. Point blank. Did nobody have to release no gas, no fog, no nothing. It was crystal clear. A nice sunny day, and you could not see anything. You wanted to believe what you wanted to believe. And no matter what you tell us of how you say this man gaslit you or lied to you, we saw what we saw. And what he said to you was enough for you to know that this man don't want you. So the fact that you were still hanging on after the show 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks, you said you didn't even talk to this man, and you talking about you had to call him and say if we're going to be in a relationship. Listen, if your man ain't talked to you in 2.5 weeks, you're not in no relationship. That is your answer. 2.5 weeks? Are you kidding me, Brittany? Girl, where you getting this stuff from? Your daddy? Let me tell you, that daddy was out of line. Like I said, it's crazy when you're not really on Devontae's side, but I got stuff to say about Brittany, and I got stuff to say about that daddy. I don't know what that daddy was doing. You know, thank you, daddy, for bringing the suit for Connor, who forgot a suit. Maybe Bri is right when he say Connor's a little boy. Maybe she's right because you forgot a whole suit, Connor. You was coming the whole Love is Blind reunion, and the most important thing for you to remember was a suit, something to wear, and that's what you forgot. You know, Bri may be a liar, but she may not be lying about that part, that he's almost like a child. Okay, maybe that's true. But I want to say this, that daddy for Brittany was out of line. And I don't know what was fueling all those darn near tears for Devonte, talking about, are you okay? I'm concerned about you. Everybody's beating up on you. What? This your daughter sitting right here. You know what? Even if you felt that way, keep your mouth shut, daddy. These daddies, this season, these daddies, right? But I'm going to tell you what, I would have been mad at my dad if that was the speech he got on national TV. And I started to think about myself, why is this dad having so much empathy for Devonte? Then I said, oh, because you was Devonte back in the day. You got a lot of criticism for dating a non-black woman or a white adjacent woman, whatever you want to call her. I know her mama's Colombian, and we saw her mother, okay? And I got some Colombian friends, and she on the white side of Colombia, not the Colombian side with the, like with the melanin in them and all that. She on that other side. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, so maybe the reason why you feel so sorry for Devonte is because it is striking a sore spot in you. Because at one time, you too was getting a lot of backlash for maybe not liking women of color. And so what you decide to do is in this moment, when you can either take up for your daughter or you could take up for Devonte, you decide to take up for Devonte. So once again, you threw aside a woman of color. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic? Devonte, you better be very careful, right? Because what Brittany's daddy is saying is, isn't it ironic that I too might not have wanted to date a woman of color for whatever reasons. I married another woman. I guess you could say Colombians are women of color, but like I said, work with me, people. And you have a daughter. And now your daughter is being rejected by men, a man, for the same reason you rejected women. Ain't that something? Ain't that some karma, right? So Devonte, you better be careful. I don't know who you had the baby with, but you better hope your black side don't come out too much, because you might end up with a daughter who looks like a woman you wouldn't even want to date. Woo, wouldn't that be something, Devonte? We know you mixed, Devonte. We know we can bring up genes from generation past. You might have a baby that come out looking like your grandfather. Was he the black side? You might have a man that come out looking look like your grandfather's side. And next thing you know, you have a little girl who looks exactly like the type of women you said you don't even like, you don't want to date. Because otherwise, Mr. Brittany's dad, I don't understand what you was doing. I really don't understand what you was doing, except you was triggered. That's what it seemed like to me. It seemed like you was triggered and you was running around talking about, did you lie to me? He don't owe you nothing. I wasn't a fan of that moment at all, Mr. Brittany's dad. I really was not a fan. But all, I liked the reunion. I did. I enjoyed it. The snakes in the grass, Bri and Ashley. Kudos to you, Alex. Kudos to you, Alex. You stuck it to Ashley real good. She walking around thinking she is the best looking thing since sliced bread. And she got jealous of Brittany. So she didn't have no problem, Brittany, throwing you up underneath that bus. She didn't have no problem with it, girl. Just like you said, girl code, please. What girl code? Jealousy at its finest. Bri wants all men to like her, period, point blank. That's why she was entertaining Chris. That's why she was entertaining Devonte, because she found out Devonte don't like women of color. So she thought, let me sit over here and sashay on over here to get him to like me too. I know who these people are. They really think that they are hiding, but they are hiding in plain sight. And Brittany might have closed her eyes all season long to who Devonte really was. Connor, your eyes are still closed, but you better wake up. You better wake the hell up, Connor, before so much damage is done to you that you can't recover. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of men out here who got their hearts broken in their early 30s, and it takes them sometimes 10 years to recover. 10 years. You see them walking around out here in the street, single in their 40s, mid 40s, because they were so hurt by a woman in their 20s and early 30s, and the recovery time it takes for them ends up being 10 years. We don't want that for you, Connor. Get out. Remember the movie Get Out? Get out before you can't get out. Bri is a snake in the grass. And like I said, once they show you who you are, once they show you who they are, believe it. Believe it. We know Bri lies a lot, but what we see ain't no lie. It's her truth. So anyway, that's all I got, y'all, for Love is Blind. I did part 1 earlier. If you guys can check out that video, do it. I talked some about Christine and Vic, and I also talked about Amber and Jordan. And then stick with me. Keep coming back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Get the alerts so when I post a video, I'm going to be posting some new videos because I'm going to be doing blue therapy. Y'all told me about another show talking about age dating or something or another. I'm going to check that out. Just a lot of stuff coming up. So I'm going to be trying to get out a lot of videos over the next couple of days. And I would love to see y'all down in the comments. And that's it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.